Hey guys, so before we get into the video, I want to show you guys what you guys will be learning today. So you'll be learning how to make a little GUI shop that interacts with the player. So right now we have 150 cash, and if we buy like say tool 2, we'll have 50 cash and we get tool 2 in our hands. And now if we still have 50, so we can buy tool 1, and if we want to buy tool 3, it says failure and we don't deduce cash because we don't have enough. This is a little like cash giver thingy. So let's say we have 200, we have 15, and we get tool 3. So that's it. It's basically just a little shop system that works with 3 different tools, and you guys will be learning how to do that today. If you don't want to follow along and you just want these scripts, I'll be posting them in the Discord server. You can join that down in the description. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the introduction. Bye. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to make your first little basic GUI shop system thing. Now, we are going to be working with remote functions for this video, and remote functions are different than remote events. They're actually more advantageous when you want a better communication between your GUI and your server, so between the client and the server, because remote functions allow two-way communication. So just like a question and a reply, compared to remote events, which only like allow questions. They only allow one-way communication. So remote functions, we're going to be working with that today. I'm going to teach you guys how to basically set it up and work with it. And yeah, so that's basically it. If you don't want to follow along this video, you just want these scripts, you can go down in the Discord server. I'm going to link it in the description section. You can go there, copy paste the scripts if you want. And if you do want to follow along, I'll make sure to keep this really simple so that everyone can understand. So okay, that being said, you want to add a remote function inside replicated storage, and I'm going to rename this shop. And then we're going to work on the tools. So just insert a part, and I'm gonna make it like red, and then duplicate this. I'm gonna make it green, and then duplicate this, and I'm gonna make it blue. So what the hell? I'm gonna make it blue. There you go. So now you want to add a tool, and I'm going to rename this T1 for tool. I want to duplicate this twice, T2 for tool 2, and T3. There you go. Now I want to drag one part into all of these tools, and I'm going to rename the part handle with a capital H. So handle, handle, and handle. I want to select all these 3 tools. I want to move them to server storage. So these tools are going to be basically what we're going to be working with for this video. So okay, now let's get into the scripting part. You want to go inside server script service and add a script, and we're going to work on the leader stats. That's going to hold the player cache, and the cache is what we're going to be using to buy the tools with. So game.players.player added, connect function, and you get the player. And then you want to create the leader stats folder. So local leader stats is an instance.new folder, and you want the leader stats.parent to be the player, and you want the leader stats.name to be leader stats. Now you want to create the cache value. So local cache is an instance.new integer value. Cache.parent is the leader stats, and cache.name is just cache. So we also want to give the player like 150 cache to begin with. So cache.value equals 150, and I'll just show you what that does. So as you can see, this is the cache leader stats kind of thing. So okay, now that that's done, let's start working on the shop GUI. So you want to go inside start GUI and insert the screen GUI. And in that you want to put a frame, and this frame is going to be our shop. So I'm going to make it this big, and I'm going to rename it to just simply shop. So this shop is going to be what's going to basically frame all of the buttons that we need to click to buy stuff. So I'm going to make it like 0.2 transparent, or I guess 0.3. Make it like a dark gray color like this. And this shop looks pretty fine. So inside it you want to put a text button, and each text button is basically going to represent the items that we can buy. So just like this. This is a nice little text button. I want to make it like this, or yeah, something like that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change it to like red. So red is gonna be for the first tool. Duplicate this. Blue is gonna be for the second tool. I don't remember actually if blue was the second tool, but whatever. Blue is gonna be for the second tool, and green is gonna be for the third tool. Change the color later, it doesn't really matter. And then inside each text button, I want to change the text to tool 1, and let's say it's 50 cash. And for this, it's just tool 2, and let's say it's 100 cash. Whoops, 100 cash. And then tool 3 is going to be 150 cash. Then I want to bold the text so that it's like more evident to see. So there you go. Now we have our 3 tools that we can buy, and now I want to add a text label, and this text label is going to say whether or not the purchase was successful. So it's going to say purchase successful or purchase unsuccessful. So for this one, I'm going to make the background completely transparent. I'm going to scale the text. I do want to change the label, the font to indie flower, and then maybe bold it too. So okay, now we have the little shop GUI, and it's nothing too complicated. It's just 3 buttons and a text label. And now inside the shop, you want to put a local script, and inside this local script, I'm going to define everything that we're going to be working with. So local shop is just script.parent, and script.parent.visible starts off at false. Then I'm going to work with the text buttons, and I'm actually going to rename each of them. I don't know why I didn't do it. So this one is going to be tool 1, this one is going to be tool 2, and this one is going to be tool 3, and this one is going to be outcome. So just like that. There you go. Now I've named everything, so I can go back in here and say local tool 1 is the shop dot tool 1, local tool 2 is the shop dot tool 2, local tool 3 tool 3, and then local outcome is shop dot outcome. So now I've defined everything that we want to be working with inside this local script, but I also need to define the remote function that we're going to be working with. So local rem function is game get service, replicated storage, wait for child shop. So now I'm going to explain what we want to work with. So whenever this GUI happens to be visible, we want to detect a click. Clicks between these 3, like any click, so we want to detect if the player clicks tool 1, tool 2, or tool 3. So to do that, you need to, you could just say tool 1 dot mouse. You could just say like, whoops, wrong script. You could just say like tool 1 dot mouse button 1 down connect function, and then blah blah blah, and then go back down here and say tool 2 dot mouse da da da. But this is like redundant. It's not really good practice. What I like to do is I like to put them in a table. So you just say local tool table, and you open the squiggly brackets, and you say tool 1 comma tool 2 comma tool 3, and then you want to loop between all of these tools inside a for loop. So you say for I tool and I pairs tool table do, and then you want to say tool dot mouse button 1 down connect function, and then you could say something like print clicked. So now what this does is basically it loops over every tool in the tool table, and then you just want to detect if any of these tools that we've looped through are getting clicked, and if they are, then you want to connect the function. And what we can do, why this is useful, is we can say you have clicked tool, and then you could add the I, which is this little counter thing, the index, and it's going to tell us which tool we've clicked. So I also forgot, this is okay, we're gonna put it at true. We're going to set the shop logic later for the visible. So now as you can see, it says you have clicked tool 1, you have clicked tool 3. So this is good because now that we've put it in a for loop, we can work inside just this for every single tool, so we don't have to repeat code. So yeah, looping them inside the for loop is really good, like it's good. Okay, now we want to set to false, and now let's work on how the shop is going to be visible or invisible. So for that we need the user input service. So game get service, user input service, and what I want is basically whenever the player clicks something like T, the letter T, the T key on his keyboard, then the shop is going to be visible. So you just say user input service dot input began connect function, and you get the key, and you want to say if key dot key code is equal to enumerate dot key code dot t, then you want these no actually you want it to be visible if it's false. So you just say if shop dot visible equal to false, or I guess I should have said if not shop dot visible, because better practice. Then you want to set the shop dot visible equal to true, else you want to set the shop dot visible equal to false. So that does basically, we hop in a game, we click T and it's visible, then we click T again and it makes it invisible. So now we have the little GUI pop-up thing, and we have the click detector thing. So everything is good. Now let's work with the remote functions, and it's not anything too complicated. It's actually pretty similar to remote events. So whenever a tool is clicked, I actually want to fire the remote function. So to do that, the syntax is a bit different. You have to say rem function colon invoke server. So contrary to remote events where it was like fire server like this, we do invoke server, and it's not that different, but the only difference is it's invoke instead of fire. So okay, and we do want to pass the I, and we pass the I because we actually want the script that's going to be receiving this remote function to know which tool has been clicked, right? So now we're firing this, and we're saying we're passing the index. So now if we go here, well actually I want to copy this line, and if we go inside the script that we already did and we define the remote function, we can say remote function, well actually no, that's not how you do it. What you do is you say, well, remote function dot on server invoke, and you can't do dot connect function, colon connect function, right? Even right now I was doing it, I was tempted to say colon connect function. That's not how it works. For the remote functions, what you have to do is you say equal to function, and then the end here, the end after the function won't have the end bracket. So this is it, and I'll explain why. The remote function here is a callback. What does that mean? A callback is basically just a function that returns something. Okay, a function that answers a question. Okay, so in here, when we're invoking it, we're asking a question. We're asking here, does the player have enough money to buy it? Because that has to be done on the server side. And if he does, then we're going to buy it. And that question of can the player buy something is going to be answered here by the outcome, and the outcome is equal to something. So that means that whenever we're catching the remote function call, whenever we're catching it, we have to set it equal to an outcome, right? And this will all make sense in just a second. But for now, all we want to do is just print the index, and actually I want to grab the index from here. Actually, the first is the player, then is the index, because just like remote events, the first argument whenever you catch the question on the server side is the player. So okay, now as you can see, it'll still work. We will still print the index. So now that we have this kind of like question that's being asked for the server, we can work with it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to say if I equals to 1 and player dot player dot leader stats dot cache dot value is bigger or equal than 50, then we want to say print you have bought item 1, right? You can click play, and now if you click it, it will say you have bought item 1 because we have more than 50 cash and we can actually buy this tool. Okay, now let's work on that. We can say cash dot value minus equal 1 50, I mean, and actually we have to define cash, so I'm just going to define them. So I can define them in here. So I just say local cash is equal to player dot leader stats dot cash. There you go. Now I've defined cash, and I also want to define the tools that we're going to be working with. So local t1 is game get service server storage wait for child tweet t1, and then local t2. I'm just gonna copy this line so I don't have to type it out again. Change this to t2, and then local t3 is equal to this line, and I change this to t3. So there you go. Now we've defined these things. So we want, whenever the player clicks the first button, if he has more than 50 cash, then we want to deduce 50 cash from his from his cash dot value, and we also want the t1 to go in his backpack. So we say local new tool is t1 colon clone, and you want the new tool dot parent to be the player dot character, and I'll just show you guys what that does. So if we go here and we click t1, we get t1. Okay, now if you don't want it to spawn in his hand, you can just change player dot character to player dot backpack, and all that does is just put it in his backpack instead of in his hand. So there you go. Now we have the t1 working, and you see now we have 0 cash and we can't buy it again. So okay, that works fine, and we can do the exact same thing for, for what's it called, for tool 2 and tool 3. All right, so you just say else if I equals 2 and player dot, or just cash dot value is bigger or equal than 100, and then you can literally just copy this line. And of course we can do this through a for loop too, but I'm not going to do that because I've already started like this. Just say t2 clone, and then you want to say else if I equals 3 and cash dot value is bigger or equal than 150, then we want to paste it again, and you say 150 t3. There you go. So I think that should be it, and we can actually just go and test. Don't have to guess. So I can buy t2, I can buy t1, but I can't buy tool 3. So there you go. Okay, yeah, I knew it. We mixed the colors. So I am going to change the colors just to, like, so that it can match and stuff. So I go here and I want to change this to green. I want to change this to blue. Okay, there you go. So now we've changed it, so that makes sense. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, we can still add a couple stuff like the outcome. We're going to want to change that, and that's where we need the remote function. Because for now, all we're doing is we're treating the remote function as if it was a remote event, right? Like, we haven't communicated back to the local script from the script. So we're actually going to do that. Now what's going to happen is this on server invoke is going to return something. Like I previously mentioned, we're going to answer a question. So we're going to return something. Okay. Now what are we going to return? We're going to return either successful or not successful. All right. So first we need to define the return, and I'm going to define the return as 0. Okay. And actually you have to name it something else. So local something is equal to 0. Okay. Now if we successfully buy the first one, then I want something to be equal to 1. Okay. If we buy the second tool, I want something to be equal to 2, and if we buy the third tool, I want something to be equal to 3. And then at the end of the script, I want to return something, and you go inside here, and this is equal to something. Okay, so you can just say answer is equal to whatever this is equal to, right? And actually you have to say local. So imagine this is happening, okay? And the player, blah, 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 he buys tool 2. So now this on server invoke is going to return the value 2 to this script. Just like that. We don't need 2 remote events because the remote function already answers the question for us. It's a two-way communication. So now you go here and you say local answer is equal to this, and actually I can just print the answer, and you'll see that if we do buy the tool 2, it's going to print 2, right? Because we're returning the number 2 inside this script. So now what we can do is we can just say if answer is not equal to 0, then we want the outcome.text to be something like success. And now if we go here and we click one, success, and we click one, success. Now if we return 0, like if we're not buying anything, then we're not changing it, so we can just say it. We can just say else outcome.text is going to be something like failure, like failure to buy or whatever. So as you can see, now we can buy it, but if we click this, failure, because this, whenever we're clicking this, whenever we're clicking tool 3, we're firing the remote function, right? Here, we're firing the remote function here, and then it goes back to this, blah, 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 blah. Can we buy anything? No, it returns 0. So then it goes back to the local script and it says, okay, well, answer is 0, so we're going to change the outcome of text to failure. So now every time we buy something, it will tell us if there was a failure or a success in buying that thing. So okay, we have everything. Now the last thing that I want to work with is this visibility. I don't want this to be visible at the beginning, so I just say go inside here under outcome, you say outcome dot visible equal to false, and then whenever this is becoming false again, I want the outcome dot visible to be false too. And then whenever we're getting something, I want the outcome dot visible to be true. Actually, I can just equal true. I can just move this up here. I don't need to write it twice. So now basically what that does, I click T, we don't see it. Click this, success, and if I close it and reopen it again, it should be invisible. Like that, success, oh, close it, invisible, failure, 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 failure. So there you go. And okay, what is left? We could do we could do this button, becomes like invisible once we buy it. And actually I am going to do that, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So to do that, you just say if answer is not equal to 0, then print success. You want to say if answer is equal to 1, then you want the tool1 dot visible to be false. Else if answer equals 2, then tool2 dot visible equal to false. And finally, else if else if answer equals 3, then tool3 dot visible equals false. So that just allows us to buy the tool once. And now if we click this, success, it disappears. Click this, failure, we click this, success, and it disappears. So now you have a little shop system that deletes the items. So that's good. And now what I want to do, just like for the final thing, it's completely unnecessary. I'm actually going to turn this visible to false. So boom, like this. I want to add a tool that lets us get cache so that we can test it with all 3 items. So to do that, you go inside workspace, you insert a part, and then inside this put a click detector, inside this put a script. You just say script dot parent dot mouse click connect function, you get the player, and you just say player dot leader stats dot cache dot value plus equals, and let's say 50. So now we have a little cache giver thingy. Open T, and if I want to buy tool 3, I get tool 3. If I want to buy tool 1, I get tool 1. If I buy tool 2, now I have all 3 tools, and there's nothing left in the shop. And you could do a thing where if there's nothing left in the shop, then you print nothing in the shop, but that's just extra. I'm not going to do that. So okay, Now you've learned how to make your little shop system. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you learned a little bit about remote functions. And listen, if you're serious about making a game, remote functions are 100% useful. They're completely useful because they they prevent you from using like unlimited amounts of remote events for no reason. Remote functions are two-way communication, and they're really useful. Like if I wanted to do all of this script with with remote events, it would have been possible. You know, it's very possible, but I probably need like something between like 3 remote events to 4. Like it's just useless if you can just use one remote function to do everything that you want. So okay, that being said, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to drop a comment, tell me how it was. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I will 100% answer you, and that's a promise. If you want the scripts, if you want to just verify anything, go in the Discord, join it, and all of that stuff. So okay, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.